Good evening. Louis C. Gross with Joe Broom today. Young man called in last week. He wanted to be on the show, so hey, we accommodated it. So we're going to talk about school and dysfunctional families and regular families. But most importantly, we need to get together in terms of our young people as students. Not roaming the streets, not affiliated with gang warfare, but to try and deal with the future. Everything looks rosy right now. When you're young, you don't see, the bigger picture. You don't have a vision. So we need to help them as adults to find that vision. Remember, change. Change, change. Not only is it inevitable, it's essential to survival. Why do we fear it? Why do we fight it when we simply should embrace it? Everybody does not want to deal with change. And change is essential. And we need to, get involved with that. Look how things have changed in terms of how we deal with our children. It used to be a time when people would say, look here, it takes a village to raise a child. Now that same village is afraid of that child. And why is that? Look at the dynamics of the family structure. For instance, let me show you something. On the overhead here. See this? Dysfunctional family roles. Now you have what you call a dependent and a codependent in the family. One drinks too much and gets high too much. The other one, the wife, tries to take care of the family and deal with what this man is doing. But it says here, after a certain period of time, the mother becomes overwhelmed. She's like the codependent. So you have in the family the hero. That's the person that's the oldest that tries to help the mother to deal with the deficits in terms of the family, because the head of the family is not, securing the bread, dealing with the bread rolls that they're supposed to deal with. And as a result, it affects the whole family. You have next the scapegoat. It's typically the second child and is often described as irritating, defiant, deceitful, hostile, and disobedient. Then you have the lost child. Seems to fall through the cracks against almost disappearing at times. They are often described as quiet, shy, lonely, solemn, and passive. Excuse me. Then you have the mascot. It's typically the youngest child and is often described as outgoing, entertaining, excitable, cheerful, and playful. Now, I'm getting this out the way because Joe and I are going to talk about it in a minute. So it's 4 parenting styles. The authoritative parent, the authoritarian parent, the permissive parent, the passive parent. When we talk about authoritative parent, his or her child is likely to be happy, responsible, and all that. The authoritarian parent, his or her child is likely to be moody, anxious, well-behaved. The permissive parent, his or her child is likely to be demanding and whiny, easily frustrated. The passive parent, his or her child is likely to be clingy and needy, inappropriate and rude, likely to get into trouble, a poor student, a follower. Now, I bring that up to come to this. That same child that we just talked about comes to our schools. And as a result, depending on how the child's been trained, will exemplify the behavior in that child. There's a Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he gets older, he will not depart from it. Well, we basically see what happens privately in a home, because the behavior is manifested publicly in terms of what we see, in terms of the exhibition of that behavior with that child. We now know in a lot of instances that the child wasn't raised correctly or was permitted to do what they wanted to do. As a result, that transfers into a child going to school. Now, I want to say something about schools. I know for a fact, YCCS, Youth Connection Charter Schools, does a fabulous job with our children. And at this point, we are recruiting young people who have dropped out, or they haven't dropped out, just want to change. Also, we want to retrieve some students that have dropped out, and we want to recruit some students that, might not know about youth charter schools. So today we're going to talk about that as well as a student. What is a student? In order to be a student, you have to agree to be a student. So I have Joe Broom with me today. He's knowledgeable about what's going on. Mr. Broom, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Grossman.
Okay, sir, tell me, what's your opinion on what you see in terms of these students today?
I don't want to disagree with you somewhere. I would tell a child, don't be a student, be a scholar.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a scholar, you're going to be engaged in your education. You're going to be a part of the exchange of opinion and ideas. And you're going to bring something to the classroom. In order to be a student, you have to be prepared. And when you look at a lot of times, our students are not prepared at all in terms of engaging in the classroom because they're not being prepared. Part of the prepared had to start the night before by getting a good night rest, eating, having a good breakfast. And you see some of these children going to school, they eating these flaming hot. And you wonder why we're having some. Right. And you wonder why we're having some of the problems that we do in the classroom because the children are not prepared.
Let me ask this question: do you think that the parent has a lot of responsibility with that in terms of the child not being prepared to come to school?
Yes, because the parent, the one, and I said it before last week, they gotta have expectations, demands, and deadlines. You
like
tell
that.
You tell that child.
Like what? Let's break it down.
First of all, if you're a student in school, you don't go to bed until 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Some people may have a problem. I know my daughter was in grammar school. Guess what? Bedtime was 8:30.
Okay. So that's expectations, right?
Yes.
You mentioned something else.
Demands.
Demands. Okay. How do you go about demanding something from your child without, being authoritarian about it?
I think you gotta be a little bit of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Explain that.
Some things
please.
you can't. There's no wiggle room. Just like when my daughter was in school, I told her like this: I want mostly A's and few B's. A B minus is only a C plus.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling her the days of a strong mind. Willing to work and a strong back is over. The new collateral is education.
Okay, right.
Is education. Those
so
days
technology, you would say?
Yeah. And I gave her my expectations, my demands, and like certain things with children. Hey, you know what? I demand you be able to read by first grade. I demand that you like if you have a problem in school, don't wait till the house burned down to tell me. And like you was talking about last week, a lot of parents when it comes to report card pickup time, and the house is already burned down. If you waiting to find out how your child is doing in school, no, you need to find out maybe 3 or 4 times during that semester that quarter.
Come up to school and check
right to find out what's going on, and you gotta make certain demands on your child. You got let those teachers to know, hey, I'm here. I want to know what's going on, and something going on they don't tell you about. Then we got a problem.
Do you think that a lot of the situation with our schools and our children in these schools, a lot of times they're afraid to walk from one boundary to another in terms of, since the schools since they closed down a bunch of schools, now these kids are forced to go to other schools where there's a line that talks about gangs this and gangs that. And do you think that affects the educational process too?
Can I say whatever you want to say?
Well,
I think some of these parents are wimps.
Wimps? Okay.
I say the reason why because if my child is going to a certain school, I'm not going to tolerate bullying. I'm not going to tolerate certain things that could be happening in the school because school is supposed to be a safe area.
Safe haven, right?
A safe haven, and certain things is not going to happen at all. I'm not going to tolerate it.
So when you say you're not going to tolerate, what do you mean you're going to do? Take the law in your own hands?
No. I've been through this in terms of bullying. Those way I say you stay within the law. All right. Okay. Sometimes that parent you stay within the law. Okay. Sometimes that parent may need to be a bigger bully.
Okay, hold that thought. We have a caller. Question, or comment, or concern. Go ahead, caller. You on the air?
Yes, sir, gentlemen.
You got to speak up a little louder.
When I was a young kid, I was never hit or any of that. My dad once told me he would never hit me because that's all he grew up with was getting beat. But you teach by example. If you, especially about school, you come home with homework, there's the parents right there to help you. They're not out there having what they want to do. they're out there helping their children first. That's how children, when you're born, you have a 50-50 chance. You're going to be good or you're going to be bad. So enhance your chances. Be sure to be with your kids. I used to go on vacation when we had a chance. They take me to my baseball games, and that's one thing I really enjoyed. My parents on the sidelines when I was playing Little League Baseball. That showed me that they really cared, and I wanted to make them happy. Mm-hmm. Not that I had to, but I wanted to, and that's the difference.
You know, you're absolutely correct. You have to agree to be a student. You have to agree to. Right. Thank you. That's Ray, right? Ray, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know what?
Kids get.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ray.
Kids get beat. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kids get beat. Yeah. Kids get beat because they're forced into doing something.
That's not
you don't teach like that. You teach by example. And I had great parents. I try to be a great parent. My children now, they're trying to be great parents, and they never hit their kids either. So it like a lot of people want to say, you hold back the switch, and but no, you don't have to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Learn
Ray.
by example.
Okay, I agree. We have to lead by example. But now, let me say something to you. There's violence. It begets violence. In other words, you got a bully. Somebody's bullying your kid. What do you tell your child when the child comes home? Boy, if you don't go back and whip him, I'm gonna whip you. See? Now that child has to go back. Now the child has to go back and try and fight this individual and try and accomplish something through violence. And we need to get away from violence in terms of the other ways of dealing with situations. And when a kid comes home and the mother or the father tells him, hey, man, go back and put that boy's behind, now you're trying to solve something, two physical forces. And it has to be a different situation. We had to get the security officers involved. We had to get the parent involved in terms of going to the school and addressing those issues through the school, through the principal, through the dean of students, rather than taking the law in your own hands. That's what other chaos comes on. Let me explain something to you. Two young people out in front of the school, two physical combatants, they're fighting. The police comes along, all he sees or she sees is two people fighting. Both of you at that point are wrong, and both of you going to jail, whether you're right or wrong. So we have to learn to resolve our issues, I guess you could say diplomatically, but most importantly, utilize the resources that you have to do that. Because as you can see, look what's going on now. You got black on black crime. All it does is just escalate. That's by design. I got a caller. Question or comment, caller. Go ahead. You're on the air. Go ahead. Hello.
Yes. Good evening. How you doing?
Hey, Steve.
How you doing?
All right, great. Listen, I got two quick comments.
Go ahead.
Hey, how y'all guys doing? Listen, I got two quick comments. Your beginning of the show, you said change.
Yes.
As when I was young, I ain't gonna ever forget it. I got into with a kid on the block, and he hit me, made my nose bleed. I ran in the house, crying. My father and mother, the whole family said, you go back out there and you fight them. You cannot run away from everything. And I did. I went back out there, fought him, hit him in his nose, and he started crying. But again, that was 1,000 years ago. That's when you just said, change. Now, these days, if that happened now, if you go back out there now, normally they might be taking a gun out there.
Exactly.
The daddy or the mother or the brother or the cousin might go out there with a gun or knife and shoot that kid. So again, theirs was the change. You cannot do what you used to do now. Then, and do it now. Now, the other quick comment. Joe, you were saying demand. I wasn't there. Only demand that I ever gave my child, my children, my grandchildren is do the best that you can. Show me what you could do, and then we could work with it. Everybody's not going to be a rocket scientist. Some people going to be some great plumbers. Some people could be great electricians. Some could be a professor. Everybody cannot do everything. But the most important that you would say is the demand, do the best you can. Come to me. I try to do the best I can to help you, and if I can't help you, I'm going to try to get you some help. See, that's the difference. You can't not demand A's and B's, because everybody's not an A and B student, man.
Steve,
Everybody's different. Everybody can't be the same. So listen, Joe, I see you love to get on TV, so that's a good thing that you're there. Let me get out the air so I can hear your response. And one other thing, don't forget, change. That's good for all of us, because I know I have changed. Thanks for taking the call. Let me get out there. So
Thank you for your comment. Joe, you want to respond
I'm
to
going
that?
to be real quick about the bullying, all
Go
right?
ahead.
A lot of the
Now, you
bullies,
talking about change. Now,
okay, a
demands.
lot of the bullies in school, a lot of times they was bullies. And guess what
They were bullied, somebody bullied them.
They was bullied. They would come up to me and ask me, hey, I'm being bullied. Can you help me? But sometimes, if you got to look at the situation. You could tell your child, try to walk away from the situation. Tell your child, give them the skills to deal with. Go tell the teacher, go tell the principal. And then sometimes telling them may not do no good. Sometimes the child got to have a right to be able to defend themselves from further harm. The law gives them the right to defend themselves. You got to give them certain skills to work with. Every situation a child may not be able to walk away from.
Well, you have a good point there, but the other thing about that, it seems to be a never-ending situation. I retaliate because you jumped on me, revenge, retaliation, whatever you want to call it. Now, somebody else, like you said, bring their brother or father up there, and now, it goes on and on and on. When is it going to end?
I've been through that.
And what was the outcome?
The outcome, they left my daughter alone. Because like I said, I had to wind up being the bigger bully, and I told this child, don't leave my daughter alone. You're going to be in jail with some of the most ugly women in Cook County. And I told the father as well, this situation is going to stop. It's going to end. It's going to end one way or other. You going to wind up spending some money out. It's going to stop. And guess what? It stopped. And like I said, a lot of children that was bullied, they was coming up to me and ask me, hey, Mr. Broom, can you help me? I'm being bullied. Every situation is different.
Well, that's true, but let me ask this question. Has anybody ever came to you as a result of you intervening and said to you, hey, man, you need to mind your own business?
Yep.
And what did you do then? Yeah, go ahead.
I can't mess with what I did on TV.
Okay. Well, see, that's what I'm getting at. In our neighborhood, in our community, and I call Chicago our community, whether a lot of people want to believe it or not. Because it is, because we're all in this environment one way or another, whether it's the south side, north side, the east side, or west side. But we do know that a lot of things are different. Like policing is different on the north side as opposed to the south side and west side. And we also know about schools. And that's what we're getting at. We need to educate our children, and we need to have an environment that's conducive for, intellectual growth.
I agree with that.
Because at this point in time, intellectualism has retreated a lot of times because of the political situation and social situation. We are segregated, and that's by design, and we need to face those facts. Under the 13th Amendment, you have the right to vote, but the way that gerrymandering and all this, that's become difficult. And even when you go to the polls, it's either or. Either you're gonna vote straight Republican, or either you're gonna vote straight Democrat. And see, that needs to be changed. And I think an educated populace can make that change. That's the reason why we're working to get these young people involved in voting rather than fighting. We need to get them involved in the social aspect of life, to have a better quality of life. But that also stems from the adults. The adults, look at what you say out of your mouth, you must exemplify in your behavior.
Yes.
And we're not doing that. Joe, can you expound on that?
I see a lot of times when I'm on the bus or I be at the library. One thing I like to do is go to the library.
Okay,
and it seems like we got a different type of mothers these days, what I refer to as the gangsters.
Say that again. A different type of mother?
Gangsters.
Gangster mothers?
Thuggers.
Explain that.
Like you say, children learn from example.
Right.
When the child hear every word come out of the mother's mouth, profanity.
Right.
That's what the child know. That's what the child gonna think is normal.
Right.
And they wonder why. And then we teaching children a lot of time to be one or two things: either be a predator or prey.
That's
That's
very
what
good.
that's what
profound.
happening a lot of times.
Predator or prey?
Yes.
Go ahead, Joe.
And then, like these mothers, a lot of time, hey, you know, if someone do something to you, you better hit them back, pick up a stick, or hurt them. You know, you supposed to use 3 or 4 times the amount of force.
Force that was put on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But and they're not giving these children no type of coping skills, how to deal with it all.
I like what you just said. By the way, TV Land, is your child a predator or they prey? And look at that. Matter of fact, are you a predator or are you a prey? Because your children do exactly what they see you do. You tell your child don't smoke, but you smoking right in front of them. You know? Like I said, what you say out of your mouth, you must exhibit in terms of your behavior. And what we're seeing these days is that a lot of children have not been trained. I hate to use that word trained like a lion or an animal or something, a little form of animal. But let's face it, we have to deal with exhibiting what we say also in terms of behavior, and we're not doing that. For instance, I've often said this. The mother and child in the apartment, the mother tells the child, look here, if the landlord calls, tell him I'm not home. You hear me? The child says, yeah, okay. Sure enough, the landlord calls. And the child says, look here, oh, by the way, if you're the landlord, my mother told me to tell you that she's not home. You know what? That mother cannot wait for the child to hang up the phone so she'll whip him. And then that same situation shows up at school. The mother gets a call coming to school saying, and then, the parent-teacher conference, and the instructor says, well, your child has been, a lot of fabrications, a lot of lying. And you know what the mother said? I don't know where Johnny got that from. See? Just lied again. See, and that's what, we're sending our children to school under false pretenses. We got to, get rid of the secrets and deal with the situation. And right now, we need to have our children in school and not on the streets. And that's the reason why we need to deal with youth child schools connection. We need to deal with them in terms of, you got Olive Harvey, you got a school in every area, every sector of this community. South side, north side, east side, west side. So what if your child is, dropped out or has some problems? Put them back in school. Put them back in school this very month. Get them prepared to go back to school and learn something besides the streets. Because let me tell you something. The streets is a one-way ticket to the penitentiary. The streets are one-way, or to the morgue. Let's face it. And you see what's happening. Our kids are looking for love in all the wrong places and being led by predators. That's what that is. Hey man, go sell these drugs. And see, this is by design. Think about this. When they level the projects, you go on 35th to 22nd Street to 30th to 55th, and you see a totally different environment. But now, where those same people that lived there originally, it's called displacement. Now they're in your neighborhood, they're all over the place, and they're trying to do the same thing they did in the projects that they take it to the streets. And there comes the friction. And this is by design. Just check it out. No more Jewtown. No more from 22nd Street to 30th to 55th Street. All that now is condos, and it's lavish. It's lavish. And you know what? You, as a black man, have watched it right before your very eyes. Watched everything deteriorate. And what are you going to do about it? The only way I can say, look at the 13th Amendment, vote. 14th Amendment, equal protection of the law, which means make the law help you. Make these politicians accountable. Let's get this educational process up to where it needs to be. Because when our kids graduate from these schools, they need to be able to go into a school without having to take remedial classes.
Amen.
And so it's up to you. Look at it. When we talk about change, it starts with you. Family. It starts with you. Nobody else. You send your kids to school not to be babysitted, hopefully. but to learn something. But now, thank you, Joe.
Thank you for having me. And I was going to say, 80% what children learn is visual.
You hear that? 80% of what children learn is visual. Now, in closing, if you feel as though you run out of rope, tie a knot, hang on. Everything's going to be okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.